Toward last summer, we were having difficulty cooling the whole house. We had a few issues when it was freezing up outside and at the evaporator coil as well. So we would have conditions where the lower levels would be either freezing cold and the upper levels would be hot. We knew we probably should start budgeting, for a new air conditioning unit, and 4 or 5 months later, here we are. First thing I wanted to do this morning, I walked out and looked at it. I wanted to get a towel and wipe it off. I did not really want to get excited about a condensing coil or an air conditioning, but it's an investment and it's going to perform. I'm actually a home inspector. I've been inspecting houses for over 17 years, and I do have a construction background as well. As an inspector, I'm going in and out of several homes a day. I see, on an average about 1,000 different furnaces a year from all makes and models, whether they're ductless split systems to just regular split systems, heat pumps, boilers, you name it, I see it. I've seen a lot of new installs, and I happen to recognize I would see some equipment that really look good, professionally installed. Actually, when you start talking about transitions off the top of a furnace into a plenum, it looks like that grew together. And I don't know anything about fire and ice, but that's probably who I would want to do my install. So after some little bit of investigations and some phone calls, that's who we decided to go with. Process was smooth. We reached out to the company. They sent Josh out to our home. And he was very respectful for our home. Obviously, shoe covers, all the COVID precautions we're taking during that time, as well as the install. He went over the value, showing us that they're insured, they're all licensed, the training that each technician has. When they don't just set the equipment in, they balance it. I'm hearing stuff, a static pressure, gas and oxygen ratios, and that's all checked. It ain't like they just took something off a shelf, plugged it in, and say, here's your new furnace, have a nice day. After we went over the value of fire and ice, he wanted to see our old equipment, and he went and did a complete evaluation of that equipment, and basically he wanted to size the equipment compared to what we had, and then he also evaluated the ductwork and identified several issues with the existing ductwork and their air distribution with supply and return. So there was some modifications to our ductwork as well as our new equipment. It was a smooth process once it was all measured up and we knew what the products we were going to buy. Fire and Ice reached out to us and conveniently scheduled a time to have the install, and it was basically a one-day installation. Well, it's actually a package deal. The guys that come in, they were very professional, they were well dressed, and they spoke well. Obviously, they knew their profession very well as well. They were clean. I showed up toward the end of the install, and they had my house covered in drop cloths. They had their own waste baskets. They had everything in its proper place. They left no mess. And most importantly, at the end of it, they actually brought us back down to the equipment, identified all the equipment, walked us outside to show us the new condensing coils, to the thermostat, made sure we knew how to operate it all as well. And that goes to the filter, to the April air, humidifier. All the equipment was gone over. Spent about 30 minutes with us just explaining the equipment. Before, I knew I could hear that old compressor running outside the front door, and by not hearing it run, I was like, wow, not only does it look good, I can't hear it run, which is actually very good because we have windows and front doors adjacent to it. And knowing that we now have the correct size of our equipment, knowing it's going to be more efficient, we're going to save money on our heating and cooling bills as well. And we may not live here this is not our forever home, but now we can also advertise that the HVAC has been updated, and we've got a nice little packet, and we can leave that out for the new homeowners if we decide to move on. Be a selling point. Well, as a home inspector, we're going to identify whether or not the equipment is functioning normally. So we don't go in and size the equipment or anything like that. So if there's a deficiency with any of the equipment, we're going to identify that to them. With my experience now with Fire and Ice, that would probably be at my top of the list. I would suggest that they would, consult with them for pricing and availability.